Cleveland will host the 2016 Republican National Convention.
Hi everyone, so I wanted to show that brief video clip that showed Cleveland, Ohio as the proud host for the Republican National Convention in 2016. And my case study was the changing of a city's narrative, how Cleveland leveraged the 2016 RNC to shift perceptions from Rust Belt to rebirth. So the premise for this entire case study was on communicating the story of Cleveland. And I thought it was such a great case study to undertake simply because I work with Riverside, the city of Riverside, quite a bit. And I feel like there is such a similarity to where our city's at here in Riverside and where Cleveland was prior to the convention. So it was really great to dive deep into this study and take a look at how their research and measurement and ultimately the success of their campaign really impacted not only their local economy, but they leveraged their media connections and just was efficient in their public relations campaign strategy that it really took off not only for Cleveland but on a global scale. The world spotlight was on Cleveland, and so they did a great job of not wasting that opportunity. So from a Christian perspective, I did want to share Colossians 3:2, and it says, "Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord, not for human masters." Now, this perspective really hit home for me because with such a high-profile campaign, such as the RNC, it really shows how believers in positions of influence and power can create positive change in the lives of their local communities, but also, as in this case, on a global scale. So just wanted to start off with that. But taking a look at the research, the first portion of this campaign, they really assessed the economic impact report. And so they surveyed attendees and visitors and guests to help target the methodology that would be best for and most effective for achieving their objective. And their objective was to improve Cleveland's narrative as a place to live, work, do business, play, and visit. So their primary research was conducted through a study where they went out and did some polling and surveys of all the attendees and individuals. And so they were able to really measure over from the beginning perceptions of what people thought of Cleveland to then after the campaign, that huge impact and positive change that was present. I did note that the campaign utilized the PII method, the preparation, implementation, and impact. And so they really separated out the output and the impact. So that was one aspect of the research that I noted. Now, under the planning and execution of this case study, I deemed it successful because the entire campaign exemplified advocacy on behalf of the city and residents, and they took this opportunity to use what the city needed in that perception shift, but use that on a global scale because thousands of journalists, delegates, guests from all over 50 states and the District of Columbia and 5 different American territories were all coming to one place at one time, and to be able to impact the way that individuals saw Cleveland, it was the best possible opportunity for a public relations campaign. I decided to assess my case study based on the Barcelona Declaration of Measurement Principles. And so for the goals, as I indicated earlier, that their goals was to have that shift in having unique placements in the media to create more of a messaging that Cleveland is a desirable place to live, work, do business, play, and visit. And prior to the campaign actually even beginning, the Cleveland was already laying a foundation of infrastructure and economic development through a new Hilton hotel, high-rise apartments, a museum update, and they were doing renovations totaling over $16.7 billion in local infrastructure. So they were already laying a positive foundation for this convention to take place. Now, the main target audience for the campaign, instead of being maybe it could have been the visitors, international individuals, but they targeted actually the media for successful placement and communication of the city's narrative, because with over 15,000 journalists qualified all in one area, Cleveland took advantage of this by providing them relevant material. They had a whole media kit, photos, quality videos, as you saw earlier in this discussion, but they really provided what the media needed in order to help them communicate their PR needs in reaching their target audience. So I thought that was very successful. The economic development report that was pulled did identify that there were over 447 unique words that individuals that were in that original survey had used. And over the period of time that the campaign took place, the words originally were saying things like it's an old city, even dangerous, but then the most popular words that were used by those 447 individuals that were polled now included the phrasing friendly, nice, clean, and safe. So that really indicates that shift in perspective and even what the public was viewing of Cleveland prior to being a visitor there. One of the senior directors for the PR and communications for Destination Cleveland, her name's Emily Lauer, and she had a great quote. She said from the media that she would get people coming to her saying, really, you've put everything we need together without us even asking. So Cleveland really took the initiative in utilizing the media and servicing them to also service their cause as well. Social media was a large part of their campaign as well. So the convention had the largest social media presence of actually any convention in history. So there were over 15,000 credentialed media and social media representatives. There was a hashtag called AskCLE that was tweeted over 2,318 times. And there were also a 24-person staff that were available 24/7. So that was the host committee, and they managed the social media platform throughout the entire campaign to help facilitate honesty, transparency with the public throughout that. So in conclusion, I did feel that this campaign was a success, and it did reach the intended result of changing the narrative of Cleveland as a city. The hotel room demand increased by 11.5%. Over 1,000 jobs were created, and $52.4 million were generated in labor income. And that was just a portion of the revenue that was brought in. So I did want to conclude with my thoughts. This past week, the Attorney General for the state of California, Xavier Becerra, he actually presented at the Chamber's Legislative Summit this past week, and he had a quote that just stuck with me. He said, "Riverside has a chance to make a mark and create what we want the Inland Empire to look like. So we can write the script. We are in the beginning chapters of writing the city's history." So very similar to Cleveland, I felt that if the aspects that were used in this Cleveland campaign for the RNC could be utilized also for another city or municipality like Riverside. So overall, very successful campaign, and it was great to work on it. Thank you.